All right, Bulls and Bears back with another dose. Folks, we got a lot to get into today. Half empty cargo ships are arriving in the U.S. now from China. And the reason is because these 145% tariffs that are making companies in China and a lot of the manufacturers just say, no, thank you. So, what we're being told and what we've been hearing over the past few weeks is expect shortages. Expect shortages. And I've said here, I don't think it's going to be widespread. I think there's going to be some shortages. But when you look at it overall, the stores, retailers, typically between like 20 and 40% of goods are made in China. That's pretty significant, but it's not going to clean out the shelves. I don't expect any people panicking and crime to increase because of shortages. I could be wrong, right? Prepare for the worst, right? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to be as dramatic and as impactful as some people are saying. But hey, who am I? I'm just somebody who, the only person probably on the internet to say the housing bubble wasn't going to go bust when home prices surged and when 2020 hit. As soon as we saw that they were preventing foreclosures, we said at that very moment, it's going to be an inflationary collapse, not a deflationary collapse. And so far we've been right. And all the things they did in 2020 to keep home prices propped up, well, some of them are gone. The cancellations of evictions and foreclosure prevention is done for the most part. There's still some pockets of those things happening, but everything as far as monetary policy is still in place, right? We've raised rates. That is the only exception. But as far as the banking and lending goes, that emergency system, that emergency mechanism is still in place. Completely unlimited lending, right, to keep these bubbles propped up here. But let's go ahead and get into the news, folks. But back to what I started talking about. It's kind of a lot of fear mongering. I don't think it's going to be widespread. Let me know down in the comments. I could be wrong, though. But what are we seeing here? The ships are arriving. There's also been a car buying frenzy. Car sales jumped up because of the fear of higher prices down the road. And I said here, there's a couple different camps on this. It's kind of divided. Some people are buying things now to avoid paying more later. Other people are not buying, and they're trying to save as much as possible so they can make it through this higher price environment that we're likely to see. So I don't know what the right answer is, but I do know there's a divide on this whole thing. And even on this channel, I've seen different opinions down in the comments. But let me know what you think down in the comments. You holding off, or you buying now to prevent paying more later? Right? It's pretty interesting to hear people's thoughts on that here. First, the boats carrying carrying the items that were charged 145% tariffs are arriving in LA, and expect shortages soon. So another article saying expect shortages. Again, how severe, how widespread, how long will it last? Nobody knows. Now, I'll tell you one thing. If and when these trade negotiations are resolved and we get back to a normal where there's no tariffs or little tariffs, you're going to see the market shoot up like crazy. You know they're going to use that as an excuse to pump massive amounts of liquidity into these markets, folks. And moreover, on this report here saying prepare for empty shelves, ships now pulling into U.S. harbors from China are the first to be subject to massive tariffs America is imposing on these imports. That means in a matter of weeks, consumers will face higher prices and shortages of certain items. What are they telling us here? Imports have fallen dramatically. We see the half-empty ships. This week, we're down about 35% compared to 1 year ago. That's significant, folks. Pretty much in the range of what we see items in the stores. Like I said, 20 to 40% from China are actually 35% down now. The imports are down 35%. Cargo ships coming in are the first ones to be attached to the tariffs that were levied against China and other locations last month. The executive director of Port of Los Angeles said Tuesday, quote, "That's why the cargo volume is so light. The drop-off from imports on the boats now coming into the ports is more than 50%. Oh, the ones from China. Okay. Overall, 35%, the ones from China, 50%. Many importers have canceled previous orders because U.S. businesses aren't interested in paying the steep tariff, which can more than double the price of Chinese goods. The Port of LA had expected 80 ships to arrive in May, but 20% of those have been canceled. And it's likely to get worse because we're just now getting into the kind of the thick of things here as far as the ships arriving, and it takes several weeks all the way across the ocean. So we're going to likely see this get worsening and escalating here as the days go by. So it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on and keep track of. And I hope all of you are sitting down for this. You may not be ready for this. Are you ready? Prepare. This is bad news. You might want to be sitting down. The Mattel CEO said toy manufacturing won't come to America, but prices will. So toy manufacturers are never coming back. So if your dream was to work in a Barbie doll factory, sorry, you better find a new dream, people. Mattel CEO, toy manufacturing isn't coming back. Instead, the company expects to raise prices in the U.S. to offset these tariffs. By the end of March, less than 40% of Mattel's products will be sourced from China, with the goal of reducing that to below 25% in the next 2 years. Basically, what they're saying is they're going to go to other countries that don't have as high of tariffs as the ones we're placing on China, but they're not coming to the U.S. is what they're saying. So what did I tell you right here? I said companies do not want to come to the U.S. The ones that are here are probably looking to outsource because, again, we have to go back. The cost of living here is too high. Companies don't want to pay these high wages, right? There's a reason why people are in so much debt. One is spending too much money and spending carelessly and recklessly. Yeah, that's part of it. That's a big part of it. But the other part is that people aren't paid enough to keep up with the cost of living, right? And when you can't keep up with the cost of living, you're going to go into debt. And therefore, you've got a lot of debt here, folks. Other reasons too. I'm oversimplifying it, but you get the point. Companies don't want to pay top dollar. They want to pay as low wages as possible. So it's going to be a very few and far between that actually come back here to the U.S., in my opinion. And the ones that do come back, by the time they get back here and get set up and going, it's going to be 4 years, and we're going to have a new administration, and we'll probably start doing the same thing. We'll probably drop the tariffs. We'll probably start offshoring these jobs here and offshoring, outsourcing. And one interesting thing that came up the other day was we're actually tariffing the movie industry, folks. How does this even happen? Let me take a look at this for you. U.S. film studios being tariffed, folks. And what they're saying is basically you can't even produce a movie outside of the U.S. without paying a tariff. So you have a scene in a movie, a scene that needs a jungle. You can't go to the jungle. You better find a way to set up a fake jungle here in the U.S. or maybe somewhere in the Florida area look like jungle. But it's crazy, folks. The tariffs are imposed on imports also are going to be levied against the U.S. film industry. And basically what they're saying is Hollywood. And it's a report here. Filmmakers and Hollywood financiers are baffled. They say at least the president announcing 100% tariffs. He didn't announce it. He says he wants it. So he says he wants 100% tariffs, but they haven't been implemented yet. Sorry, I think I've got something like a bug flying around me here. Movies produced outside of the United States. Several movie studio streaming industry executives spoke out against this, and they believe this hasn't that the president hasn't thought about the ramifications of this proposal. Quote, on first blush, it's shocking and would represent a virtually complete halt of production. One industry insider remarked, but in reality, he has no jurisdiction to do this, and it's too complex to enforce. Yeah, how do you enforce that? Do you watch all the movies? You hire somebody to watch all the movies. Hey, that looks like it's in Mexico. Tariff. How do you enforce that, folks? Or you could watch the companies or the filming industry. You can watch where they travel to. You can keep track on all their transactions, all their all their entries and exiting of the U.S., which is insane, even more insane than the first thing we talked about. In its current form, the tariff doesn't make any sense, says Jay Schewers, the vice president of United Talent. American actors and directors would generally prefer to work close to home, but the fact is cheaper for Hollywood studios to pay for everyone to get on planes, pay for hotels because of the cost of labor, lack of rebates, and the ability to make these things overseas is infinitely cheaper. Wow, so they're saying the ability to make overseas is cheaper, even factoring in all those travel expenses, right? Crazy. So what do you think about this? Are we going to levy tariffs against the movie industry? Do they deserve it? Or do they not deserve it? They're just going to where the scenery is better. Or if you film, like look at some of these movies, like what's the Tom Cruise one, where he's in different countries and jumping out of airplanes. I'm not a big movie guy, so maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. A lot of movies are in different countries, bottom line. Right, next, folks, this is out of Carfax, and they're reporting a surge in used vehicle sales because people front running the tariffs, basically dealers front running the tariffs mostly. Economic uncertainty is prompting many car buyers to act quickly and pushes up sales. So the dealers are seeing a big, slight increase in customers and traffic. So therefore, they're buying more vehicles, causing a surge in both new and used vehicles. Carfax says both car sales and prices are rising beyond typical seasonal norms. This spring, used car price trends show nearly double the increase compared to the same period last year. Sales have surged at more than twice last spring's pace. Folks, what did we tell you right here? We said that the bubble in car prices, the bubble in houses, isn't going to go bust. And this is going to, at least short term, at least temporarily, make things go even higher, right? Pretty interesting that I've seen people in the car industry too saying it's crashing. You probably saw the videos here on YouTube. Dealers are overflowing. Prices are going to come down. Prices are going to crash. We've been seeing these videos for years, folks. It's not going to happen unless something changes with the monetary system, right? It all goes back to the source of money. With very loose monetary policy right now, even with higher interest rates, it's easier to finance now than ever before, even with the levels of debt right now, even with the high interest rate, right? Banks are not afraid right now. It all goes back to the banks and how money's loaned out, folks. Bubbles will not burst until that changes. We need major structural change in order to change the trajectory of the cost of living and these price levels and these bubbles. All right, well, a lot of shoppers are done with these high-priced retailers here. We've got Rite Aid closing all locations. Another bankruptcy filing. They've made it through a few. They've closed down locations here and there. Now it's reported it's going to be all of its drugstores. What customers can expect as Rite Aid closes or sells all of its drugstores? I think there's way too many Rite Aids and drugstores in general for that example. I had a corner. There's a corner here near me where we had a Rite Aid, a CVS right across the street, and then one block over we had a Walgreens, right? So three pharmacy drugstores within like a block. It's crazy. But the United States people, half the people are on some sort of medication, some sort of prescription. So are people not needing these medications now like they used to? What's going on with that? Or is it just oversaturated, like overbuilding, and the profits didn't last, right? So what do you think about this, folks? What do you think about the tariffs on the movie industry, the half-full ships? Will we see widespread shortages and empty shelves? How are you preparing? Are you preparing, or are you just relaxing, chilling, sitting back, eating popcorn, nothing to worry about because you're not going to be affected by this? Please let me know down in the comments, folks. We're going to wrap this one up here. Still under the weather. Hope you can hear me okay. A little bit congested, but we'll be back with some longer reports here in the next few days as I start to feel better. As always, everybody, keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.